Hey everyone, what's up everyone? Hi, how you doing? How's it going? How's it howdy? Today we are continuing what we started doing last week, which is reading The Thinker's Guide to Fallacies, The Art of Mental Trickery and Manipulation by Dr. Richard Paul and Dr. Linda Elder. I had a good time reading this last week, and if you haven't caught last week's stream, it is available without the pre-roll, without ads or anything on my VOD channel. That is youtube.com/@Neka's VODhole. Name change probably pending, who knows. I just changed the Discord and everything, so like there's a lot of updates there. Or not a lot, but like a few. I changed like just the name of the server and just updated like a few of the roles. Nothing like too huge, but I'm probably going to try to start being on there a little more. Hopefully, like, it gets a little more active, maybe more people will join, and we could just talk. We could just talk about whatever. We can probably watch movies, who knows. Other than that, one other thing before we get started with the reading, we're about halfway through the book. We're on page 28 on Dirty Trick number 24 out of 44. But one last thing, if you are in the LA area, I will be there on Friday for a rave. If you're in if you're going to a specific kind of rave in LA on Friday, you may or may not see me there, depending on which rave you're going to. I don't know if this rave is supposed to be low key or not, but I'm just going to assume that it is, so I'm not going to like say what the rave is or where it's at or anything. But if you are going there, hey, say something to me. Say hi. Say what's up. But anyways, let's get into it. I am going to already start with my reading glasses this time because apparently I am old and I can't read under low light anymore. I gotta get like new reading glasses or something. I've had these since I was like, I think it was middle school or something, maybe elementary school. I can't remember. These are like little kids glasses, my little kid glasses, because I used to actually need to wear glasses to read, but I don't. Or I used to need glasses in general, but I don't anymore. Thankfully, my eyes fixed themselves. I guess I don't know. That's how the eye doctor told me about it. And he was just like, "Oh, just use your reading glasses until you don't need them anymore." And I was like, "All right." So I used it a little bit, but I really didn't need my reading glasses anymore. But now I do apparently. Now apparently I do need reading glasses because I'm getting old and low light isn't cutting it for me anymore. It's probably like I'm just like spending too much time on screens. I read a lot on screens nowadays, and I think a lot of people do. But aside the point, let's start with dirty trick number 24. Ignore the main point. This was traditionally called ignore ig hang on. Ignora ignoratio. Ignoratio? That was the Latin word for ignore. Ignoratio. Ignoratio elenchu. Elenchu? Elenchu. I don't know. I don't read Latin. Manipulators know that if you can't win a point, you should divert your audience from it and focus on another point, a point not relevant to the original issue. Those skilled in this practice know how to do it so that their audience doesn't notice the shift. Hey Jan, what's up? The closeness of especially mobile devices reduces vision distance and creates astigmatism. Yeah. That's why I'm trying to limit my screen time and everything. So it's actually like a good thing that I'm like getting back into reading now, and I think a lot more people should be getting into reading too. Not only is it a very informative exercise for your mental well-being, but it's also good for your eyesight too. So if you care about that, yeah, blue light filtering glasses help with PC monitors. Yeah, I've heard that before. I've never like experienced having blue light glasses before. I know there's some monitors that you can like set the blue light level um down or something. I don't know. I don't know. I think I've done that a few times with some monitors before, but not this one in particular, which I am going to be using it to read for 48 Psychosis later. But anyways, aside from the point, I'm going off topic again. I did this a lot last time, and that's why like the reading part took so long. I mean, the whole stream was supposed to be a reading stream, and like I was like gibbering. I was gibbering the entire time, and I'm still doing it now. Dirty trick number 25: attack evidence that undermines your case. When a manipulator cannot successfully dodge consideration of evidence that does not support his case, he often attacks that evidence. You can see this in the US government's refusal to accept the fact that Iraq did not have a stockpile of weapons of mass destruction before it waged war against Iraq. We're repeating the same thing that we did. when that was relevant when this book was written. Like, look how relevant it is today, except for instead of Iraq, it's Iran. The government had no hard evidence to support its position that Iraq had the weapons, so it tried to manufacture the evidence through flagrant stretches of the imagination. No evidence could convince the government it was wrong, because it wasn't willing to consider the fact that it might be wrong. These dodges could also be covered under the fallacy of double standard. Due to your neurology, you can't read fiction. You don't have an imagination, but you read science reports, news, and tech manuals. Yeah, and things like this. I feel like I don't think like imagination is particular the thing that like stops us from consuming uh fictional works, right? Um there are fictional stories and everything, but like it's having like the empathy of these fictional characters. And I'll talk about this more when we read 4.48 Psychosis, because it is a very empathize empathetical production, play, writing piece of work. I'll talk about that later though. There's some triggering topics that goes into that next work, but let's get through Thinker's Guide to Fallacies real quick first. Dirty trick number 26: insist loudly on a minor point. Manipulators know that a good way to distract most people, if it looks like they are losing the argument, is to insist loudly on some minor point. Because most people think superficially, few will notice that the point is minor, especially if they are emotionally attached to it. Thus, for example, people often miss big issues when the media focuses loudly on small ones as if they were big ones. The problem of sorry. Oh, that's malnutrition. The problem of malnutrition and starvation in the world is given little coverage in the media, except on special occasions, like during a drought or after a hurricane. At the same time, the fact that a small country is refusing to do what our government wants it to do is treated as an issue of great significance, as if our government had the right to impose its will on other governments. The difference is being able to play a movie in your head and seeing the words form images, form just words on a page. Yeah, I guess there is like that sense of what is the word when certain individuals can see like objects in their head and everything. It's like a different sense of imagination. People have like different aspects of like how they think and everything. That's like a really intriguing topic to me, because I've always been able to like see images and manipulate them in my head and everything. But like I've always have had like a very like huge imagination and everything. When it comes to that kind of stuff. Um, Afro something? Aphantasia? Aphantasia? Is that it? I'm not an expert on this topic or anything. Yes, aphantasia. That is yes, yes. That's a really cool freaking topic, but we're not gonna get into it right now because I gotta stop doing that. I gotta stop getting distracted from reading the book, or else we're never going to get it done. Dirty trick number 27. Use the hard, cruel world argument to justifying doing what is usually considered unethical. We often say that noble ends do not justify foul means, but do we believe it? When engaging in unethical practices like assassinations, forced detentions, and torture, government spokespersons often use the "it's a hard, cruel world" argument in defense. When individuals when individuals or countries gain a lot of power, they soon come to believe that they should be able to do pretty much what they want to do. They do this by convincing themselves that their ends are always noble and just, that the only negative thing they do in the world are forced on them by evil others who do not share their noble values. Manipulators then often win arguments by insisting that they are being forced to use the means they deeply wish they could avoid, but alas, it is a hard, cruel world. For example, we don't want war, we are forced into it. We don't want unemployment, but free enterprise demands it. If we give resources to people who haven't worked for them, then they will become lazy and we will end up in a totalitarian communist state. We don't want the CIA to engage in assassination, torture, disinformation, or dirty tricks of any kind. But unfortunately, we are forced to use these tactics to defend freedom and democracy in the world. That is definitely a dirty trick, dirty tactic. Dirty trick number 28. Make sweeping glittering generalizations. Not just a sweeping generalization, a sweeping glittering generalization. Manipulators, con artists, spin masters, and politicians. We're gonna all lump them all together. And definitely politicians will use any generalizations that support their case and that their audience will accept regardless of whether they have significant evidence to support those generalizations. They make positive generalizations that people will readily support generalizations, for example, about our and their devotion to God, country, patriotism, family, and free enterprise. Remember that their generalizations are deliberately chosen to coincide with the thinking of their audience. Of course, these manipulators keep their generalizations vague so that they can weasel out of them if necessary. So a lot of what I've been like delving into myself during my spare time, and oh my god, I'm doing it again. I'm getting away from the book. Is analyzing the culture war that's supposedly going on in this country or around the world. I would even consider. I think it's like mostly like delegated to American politics and everything. There is this media infused and politically driven culture war that is completely, I would say it's fabricated. It's completely fabricated. And like a lot of politicians in the Trump administration in particular are using these tactics to directly attack us, like the common people. They are utilizing this fabricated culture war that like I believe was designed by like them and the media to put separation between like people within like the working class and middle class. And I don't think that a lot of people, both on like on any sort of the political spectrum, a lot of people do tend to fall for this manipulative culture war, and a lot of people are dehumanizing people because they don't share the same opinions or beliefs as them. And I am very much against the notion of any kind of like culture war that does it doesn't exist. It's it's not real. It's not real, and I think a lot of us need to, like, recognize that so that we can come together against any kind of, like, totalitarian regime that may be coming up in this nation, other nations. A lot of us have the internet, have the capacity to, like, talk to each other, communicate with each other, and share knowledge and information with one another. But a lot of people are stuck in their own centralized bubble that the it's centralized by these like big tech companies, and a lot of people, they are stuck in their own little isolated social media bubbles. They don't actually go out and seek out any opposing arguments to this. A lot of people are just in it for themselves online, and I've never liked that thought. I've never liked that notion, and it's something that is I don't it kind of disturbs me. Honestly. Or they rely on one single source of information and never self-research. That too, yeah. A lot of people hear what they hear on these centralized news organizations, on these platforms. They read a headline and they don't even read deeper into it. They don't check sources. They just believe what they are told. One single thing. And yeah, that's just what's going on with a lot of people. And I would not put it against themselves. A lot of people, they just go on about their day, worry about their own concerns, because everyone has like their own like problems that they're dealing with that they go through, right? So like some things it doesn't even matter to like a lot of people, but to the people that these things matter to, they need to be more vigilant and like go out and search for like more information on other sides and everything, but also with the grain of salt that you can't trust everything that you read on the internet. Actually find sources. I think there is this like this app. I think it is a paid subscription though. It shows you like all the centralist and left and right political spectrums, how they cover news subjects. I don't remember what it's called. I've been hearing like some people on YouTube talk about it, but again, I don't like believe in like paying for those kind of subscriptions. Like it's information. It should be like publicly accessed. That's why I'm doing this kind of stuff, like reading works that should be just publicly available to everyone, you know? Anyways, got super off topic again. I told myself I wouldn't do that this time. Oh my god. Okay, we got a while to go, I guess. But luckily I don't have a meeting after this, so it's going to this stream is going to go as long as it needs to, as long as I get to finish this and read the bonus for 4.48 Psychosis. I feel like I'm hyping up this place so much. But regardless, let's continue. Dirty trick number 29. Make much of any inconsistencies as your opponent's position, or in your opponent's position. Let me read that one more time. Make much of any inconsistencies in your opponent's position. There is inconsistency in the best of us. Everyone sometimes fails to practice what he preaches. Everyone sometimes falls into a double standard. Manipulators exploit any inconsistencies they can find in their opponent's arguments. They are quick to make a charge of hypocrisy, even when they are guilty of flagrant, deep, and multiple forms of hypocrisy themselves. Hypocrisy that bothers them not at all. Dirty trick number 30. Make your opponent look ridiculous. Lost in the laugh. I think this is something that a particular portly individual in office right now likes to do quite a bit. Manipulators look for ways to make their opponent or his position look ridiculous and therefore funny. People are a good laugh, and they especially like laughing at views that seem threatening to them. A good joke is almost always well received, for it relieves the audience of the responsibility to think seriously about what is making them uncomfortable. Manipulators measure their audience to make sure that their joke does not sound like sour grapes. Dirty trick number 31. Oversimplify the issue. And one thing I want to talk about, dirty trick number 30, make your opponent look ridiculous. That I feel like that only constitutes in debates and everything. When in regards to like actual serious issues, when people are doing serious exchanges of dialogues, that's not the place to ridicule anyone. That's not a place. That's not a space to make light of any issues. Comedy is not dead as much as some people like to think that it is. Comedy is here to stay. It's never going away. It's a part of our human connection, you know? It's great to have comedy. I love a good comedy. I love watching shows that are humorous in nature, I guess. But when it comes to like politics or certain like serious issues, when it comes to debates or dialogues concerning these serious issues, sometimes it is not good to like make light of those things or even ridicule your opponent. Like that is such a childish move, and it shouldn't be in mainstream politics, but we see it all the time. Dirty trick number 31. Oversimplify the truth. Since most people are uncomfortable making sense of deep or subtle arguments, manipulators oversimplify the issue to their advantage. I don't care that the statistics tell us about the so-called abuse of prisoners. The real issue is whether or not we are going to be tough on crime. Save your sympathy for the victims of crime, not for the criminals. The fact being ignored is that the abuse of prisoners is itself a crime. Unfortunately, people with a certain oversimple mindset do not care about criminal behavior that victimizes criminals. After all, they think to themselves, the world divides into good guys and bad guys, and sometimes the good guys have to do bad things to bad guys. They think that bad guys deserve bad treatment by oversimplifying the issue. They don't have to deal with what is wrong in our treatment of prisoners. Dirty trick number 32. Raise nothing but objections. Okay, oh my god, I'm gonna divulge a little bit again. Not too long, hopefully. I love watching court cases, or even like fictionalized court cases, where like the opposing individual is constantly raising objections. It's one of the funniest things. It's one of the funniest things to me, honestly. Your opponent is giving good reasons to accept an argument, but the fact is your mind is made up and nothing will change it. Of course you don't want to admit that your mind is closed. Skilled manipulators respond with objection after objection after objection. As their opponents answer the objection, they move on to another. The unspoken mindset of the manipulator is, No matter what my opponent says in giving me reasons, I will keep thinking of objections. The fact is that nothing whatsoever will convince me of of the validity of his view. Dirty trick number 33. Rewrite history. Have it your way. The worst deeds and atrocities can disappear from historical accounts or be made to appear minor, while fantasies and fabrications can be made to look like hard facts. This is what happens in what is sometimes called patriotic history. The writing of a distorted form of history is justified by love of country and often defended by the charge of negativity. You always want to focus on what is wrong with us. What about what makes it right about us? The fact is that human memory is continually working to redescribe events of the past in such a way as to exonerate itself and condemn its detractors. Historical writing often follows suit, especially in the writing of textbooks or schools. So, in telling a story about the past, manipulators feel free to distort the past in whatever ways they believe they can get away with. As always, the skilled manipulator is ready with self-justifying excuses. Dirty trick number 34. Seek your vested interests. The manipulator attacks his opponent's motivation, but insists that his motives are pure. He covers his true motives, i.e., whatever is in his vested interest, by expressing high ideals: freedom, democracy, justice, the American way, which he in fact ignores. When manipulators are seeking their advantage, their opponent calls them on it, manipulators either deny the charge, usually indignantly, or counterattack by saying that everyone has the right to protect his interests. If pressed further, they may use a "you do it too" defense. Dirty trick number 35. Shift the ground. When the manipulator senses he is losing the argument, he does not give in. He shifts the ground to something else. Sometimes he does this by going back and forth between different meanings of the same word. So if a person says of another that she isn't educated because she isn't insightful and that has very little knowledge, the manipulator may just shift the ground, saying something like, "Of course she's educated. Look how many years of school she's completed." If that's not being educated, I don't know what is. Dirty trick number 36. Shift the burden of proof. The burden of proof refers to which party in a dispute has the responsibility to prove what he asserts. For example, if a criminal court, the prosecutor, in a criminal court, the prosecutor has the responsibility to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. The defense does not have to prove innocence. Manipulators never want to take on the burden of proof for what they assert. They therefore develop skill in shifting the burden of proof to their opponents. Wait a minute, before I have to prove that the invasion of Iraq was justified, you need to prove that it wasn't. In point of fact, any country that invades another needs to have powerful evidence to justify that act. No country has the obligation to prove that it ought not to be invaded. By international law, the burden of proof is on the other side, the side that initiates violence. Suppose a manipulator questions your patriotism. You ask him what evidence exists to show you are not. He tries shifting the burden of proof. Wait a minute. What have you done to show your loyalty to the country? Don't you have socialist views? Aren't you against free enterprise? Don't you protest the Vietnam War? All of these fallacious attempts to shift the burden of proof. Dirty trick number 37. Spin, spin, spin. In an editorial on the Wall Street Journal on May 7th, 2004, on the prominence of the spin game in the media, Daniel Henniger says, the media world we inhibit is without exception a world of spin. Most people, having given up on getting a set of unadored facts, align themselves with whichever spin outlet seems comfortable. The fact is that it is highly doubtful that most people see through the media reliance on spin, since they are so commonly victims of its power. But no skilled manipulator, i.e. spin master, will understand the power of spin in manipulating consumers of the news. The manipulator must continually foster the spin that obscures viewpoints he opposes, while at the same time positively representing his own viewpoint, the one he wants the audience to accept. I don't know if you can hear my stomach. It's going freaking nuts right now. Maybe that's why I'm having trouble reading right now. My vision's not really focused. Probably because I haven't eaten. Well, I had breakfast this morning, but I didn't have lunch. As a critical consumer, one must become aware of the virtual omnipresence of spin and selectively of coverage in the media. In order to juxtapose opposing spins and decide for oneself which facts are most significant and which interpretations most plausible. The critical consumer expects the media to put spin on all articles of news, in keeping with the prejudices of the audience they serve. He must consider alternative ways of looking at the issues in the news media, alternative ways of thinking about what is being presented, what is most significant about it, and how it is best presented. Dirty trick number 38. Talk in vague generalities. It is hard to prove people wrong when they can't be pinned down. So instead of focusing on particulars, manipulators talk in the most vague terms they can get away with. This fallacy is popular with politicians. For example, forget what the spineless liberals say. It's time to be tough. Tough on criminals, tough on terrorists, and tough on those who belittle our country. They make sure they don't use specifics that might cause people to question what they are doing. For example, who exactly are you going to be tough on, and what exactly do you intend to do with these people that when you get tough with them? Is torture okay? What about humiliation? What about unlimited detention without any charge registered against them? What about placing them in tiny cells without a toilet for days at a time? What about assassination? When people use this strategy against you, ask them to give you specific examples of what they mean. Ask for definitions of key terms. Then insist that they show how their definitions are applied in the specific cases. In other words, don't allow them to get away with vague generalities. So one big vague generality that a lot of people on the right side of the spectrum, of the political spectrum, is the use of woke. Woke is often utilized as a catch-all term for something that an individual doesn't necessarily align with or agree with. And I've seen it used with people who are on the left side of the spectrum as well. A lot of people are kind of taking back the term woke. Woke was a term that was utilized back in like the 60s or something. It's like kind of an old term, and it's basically what people have leaned to from. It was originally political correctness, or not originally, but like that was like the big like term that people used. DEI was like a vilified term as well. Now it's woke. It just keeps getting freaking stupider, honestly. But like, what if you ask someone who like uses like woke to define it? Either they have a definition that is different from someone else's, or they don't even have a definition for it at all. It's just something that they despise in particular. It's nothing. It's a meaningless term being utilized on their end. Dirty trick number 39. Talk double talk. Let's face it, we often do what we accuse our opponents of doing. But of course we don't want to admit it because that would hurt our cause. Double talk can be a powerful mode of attack or defense. In double talk, sometimes called double speak, we use a positive word or phrase when we do something and a negative word when our opponents do precisely the same thing. For example, before World War II, the US government called the department that wages war the War Department. After the war, they decided to call it the Defense Department. This change has come about because the government does not want to admit that it starts wars. Rather, it wants to manipulate people into thinking that it only defends the country against aggressive others. In short, politically, the word defense sells better than the word war. When a citizen of a government we are in conflict with secretly gives us information about that enemy, we label it as brave and courageous act. When someone in our country tells our secrets to that same enemy, we indict that person as a traitor. When innocent people, this is a footnote, when innocent people on our side are killed without even realizing they were in danger, they are called heroes. When people on the side of our enemy deliberately sacrifice their lives to die for what they believe, we call them cowards or fanatics. We would never, of course, label anyone on our side a fanatic. Interestingly, when the US government trained bin Laden and other Muslim fundamentalists to use terror tactics in fighting the Russians, Afghanistan, we called these fundamentalists freedom fighters. Now these same people, because they are fighting us, have been transformed into terrorists. We are clever, you are cunning. We support freedom fighters, you support terrorists. We set up holding centers, you set up concentration camps. We strategically withdraw, you retreat. We are religious, you are fanatic. We are determined, you are pig-headed. There are literally thousands of words that fall into good when I do it, bad when you do doublets. Most people are not skilled in detecting doublespeak. Dirty trick number 40. Tell big lies. Most people lie about small things, but would be afraid to lie about big things. But manipulators know that if you insist on a lie long enough, many people will believe you, especially if you have the resources of mass media to air your lie. All skilled manipulators are focused on what you can do to what you can get people to believe, not on what is true or false. They know that the human mind does not naturally seek the truth. It seeks comfort, security, personal confirmation, and vested interest. In fact, people often don't want to know the truth, especially truths that are painful, that expose their contradictions and inconsistencies, that reveal what they don't want to know about themselves or their country. There are many manipulators highly skilled in telling big lies and thus in making those lies seem true. For example, if one studies history of the CIA, one can document any number of unethical deeds that have been covered up by lies. See any volume of Covert Action Quarterly for documentation of the misdeeds and dirty tricks of the CIA in every region of the world. That is info at covertactionquarterly.org. If you if you want to get some information about that. Virtually all of these unethical acts were officially denied at the time of their commission. We're almost done with the dirty tricks, guys. We're on dirty trick number 41. Treat abstract words and symbols as if they were real things. This was traditionally called reification? 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 Something like that. Manipulators know that most people are not linguistically sophisticated. Most people do not reflect on the relation between the way we use language and concrete particulars in the world. They do not deliberately strip off language from specific events and deeds and consider a range of interpretations for making sense of what is happening in the world. Most see the view of the world as accurately reflecting that what is going on in the world, even when the view is highly distorted. Abstractions are not abstractions in their minds, but realities. Consider the following examples. Freedom supports us. Democracy calls. Justice insists that the flag marches on. Science says. Note that in all these examples, an abstract idea is given a life in its own when coupled with an action verb. How, for example, can a flag march? It's not possible, but people are swayed by this colorful, though highly misleading use of language. Dirty trick number 42. Throw in a red herring, or two. In this strategy, manipulators divert from the issue by focusing on what is irrelevant, but emotionally loaded. Suppose that a manipulator can't refute the reasoning of his opponent. He doesn't bother trying. Instead, he throws in an emotionally charged issue that will distract the audience from the reasoning of his opponent. Consider this example. The manipulator's opponent has said that the oceans of the world are rapidly dying due largely to human activity, specifically industry waste. Instead of arguing against the position taken by his opponent, the manipulator throws in a red herring. He says, what we really need to concern ourselves with is all of the government regulations facing industry today, and all of the jobs that will be lost if bureaucratic regulations continue to grow. We need a country where the people have jobs and their children have opportunities to grow and reach their potential. How is this retort relevant to the oceans dying? It's not. It's a red herring thrown in to avoid the issue altogether. Red herrings are really funny to me. I'm not gonna talk about like that. I'm gonna save my breath for the rest of this book, but I think red herrings are hilarious, especially when you catch them. It's like you're not really tackling the issue that was proposed, bro. Dirty trick number 43. Throw in some statistics. People are impressed by numbers, especially precise numbers. So whenever they can, manipulators quote statistics in their favor, even if the source is questionable. Their audience is usually impressed. By the way, did you know that 78% of the students who read this guide raise their grade point average by 1.33 grade levels within 2 semesters? It's even higher at your school. Okay, thanks. I'm sure, where's your source? Dirty trick number 44. Use double standards whenever you can. This is the last dirty trick. Most audiences use double standards. One standard for us, another standard for them. You can't abide countries developing nuclear weapons except for us and all our friends. We condemn aggregation. We condemn aggression, except for when we are the aggressors. We can't tolerate torture and human rights violations by our enemies, although, alas, sometimes we are forced to do these things ourselves. So those were the 44 foul ways to win an argument, and they have like a little, cheat sheet or something here that just shows you all of them just on a single page, I guess, if you want to go back on any of them. So they are: accuse your opponent of doing something what he is accusing you of, or worse. Accuse him of sliding down a slippery slope that leads to disaster. Appeal to authority. Appeal to experience. Appeal to fear. Appeal to pity or sympathy. Appeal to popular passions. Appeal to tradition or faith. The tried and true. Assume a posture of righteousness. Attack the person and not the argument. Beg the question. Call for perfection. Demand impossible conditions. Create a false dilemma. The great either or. Devise analogies and metaphors that support your view, even if they are misleading or false. Question your opponent's conclusions. Create misgivings. Where there's smoke, there's fire. Create a straw man. Deny or defend your inconsistencies. Demonize his side. Sanitize yours. Evade questions gracefully. Flatter your audience. Hedge what you say. Ignore the evidence. Ignore the main point. Attack evidence that undermines your case. Insist loudly on minor point. Use the hard, cruel world argument to justify doing what is usually considered unethical. Make sweeping, glittering generalizations. Make much of any inconsistencies in your opponent's position. Make your opponent look ridiculous, lost in the laugh. Oversimplify the issue. Raise nothing but objections. Rewrite history, have it your way. Seek your vested interest. Shift the ground. Shift the burden of proof. Spin, spin, spin. Talk in vague generalities. Talk double talk. Tell big lies. Treat abstract words and symbols as if they were real things. Throw in a red herring or two. Throw in some statistics. Use double standards whenever you can. These are the 44 foul ways to win an argument that this book proposes, and a lot of things that politicians use and other individuals who just want to win an argument but aren't really suited for said argument. Fallacy detection, analyzing a speech from the past. Now test yourself on the fallacies you have just read. Read through the following excerpts from a historically important political speech, a speech whose persuasive power won the national election in 1897. See how many of the 44 foul ways to win an argument the writer used. Before reading the speech, consider the following description by James Truslow Adams, who is History of the United States, Volume 4, was an author on that. American historian, okay, he's an American historian, of the national mood at the time. Powerful business interests were chafing. Powerful business interests were chafing because we did not annex Hawaii. Senator Lodge had his eye on Puerto Rico and the Philippines. Assistant Secretary of the Navy Roosevelt was anxious for something to do with his ships. Mr. Pulitzer, owner of the World, remarked that he rather liked the idea of war, not a big one, but one that would arouse interest and give him a chance to gauge the reflex in circulation figures. A group of powerful businessmen and politicians bent on imperial expansion. A group of newspapers callously searching for sensational news which could be translated into circulation. And a shiny new gun in our hands of which we are proud. Those are pages 81 through 82 in History of the United States, Volume 4. Now imagine yourself a voter in the U.S. in 1898. Listening to the following excerpts from a speech, The March of the Flag, given by Albert J. Beveridge. I'm sorry, his name is Beveridge? Who would soon become U.S. Senator. All right, U.S. Senator Beveridge. Using the chart, read through the excerpts and indicting which of the manipulative strategies are being used in this speech. Perhaps the best way to do this is to write in the margins the fallacies you notice as you read through these passages. I'm not going to do this exercise because this isn't school. But I am going to read the speech. Wow, this is long. All right. The opening. Fellow citizens, it is a noble land that God has given us. Opening line. Okay, hang on. Fellow citizens, it is a noble land that God has given us. A land that can feed and clothe the world. A land whose coastlines would enclose half of the countries of Europe. And a land set like a sentinel. Jesus Christ, bro. I'm already red flags. Already red flags. There's so many, okay, I'm not going to, do the exercise, but Jesus Christ. Just, keep in the back of your mind all these fallacies that we, just discussed. A land set like a sentinel between the two imperial oceans of the globe. A greater England with a nobler destiny. It is a mighty people that he has planted on this soil. A people sprung from the most masterful blood of history. A people perpetually revitalized by the virile, man-producing working folk of all the earth. A people imperial by virtue of their power, by right of their institutions, by authority of their heaven-directed purposes. The propagandists and not the misers of liberty. It is a glorious history our God has bestowed on his chosen people. A history whose keynote was struck by the Liberty Bell. This history heroic of with faith in our mission and our future. A history of statesmen who flung the boundaries of the Republic out into unexplored lands and savage wildernesses. A history of soldiers who carried the flag across the blazing deserts and through the ranks of hostile mountains, even to the gates of sunset. A history of a multiplying people who overran a continent in half a century. A history of prophets. Yeah, you call them prophets. A history of prophets who saw the consequences of evil inherited from the past of the martyrs who died to save us from them. A history divinely logical in the process of whose tremendous reasoning we find ourselves today. Jesus Christ. Call him by name. Jesus, come down here. Tell this guy how wrong he is. All right, this is his this is Beveridge's definition of the issue. Therefore, in this campaign, the question is larger than a party question. It is an American question. It is a world question. Shall the American people continue their resistless march toward the commercial supremacy of the world? Shall free institutions broaden their blessed reign as the children of liberty wax in strength until the empire of our principles is established over the hearts of all mankind? You know, I've been I'm sorry, I'm cutting off his speech for a second. I've been replaying all the Metal Gear games, as I've mentioned before. And in particularly Metal Gear Solid 2, not because of like the oh my god, it predicted AI and everything. It predicted all this stuff, the control of information and everything. Yeah, that is an issue, obviously, and that's what makes the game so phenomenal and hold up to this day. In particular, I'm looking into it because there was this massive leak in data because of some employees at Sony who were being laid off and were pissed, obviously. And they were leaking information on I think it was on 4chan. And a lot of stuff from Metal Gear Solid 2, some of the stuff that was hidden from public view and interest is now surfacing finally, and we're actually seeing some of the stuff that were cut from the game, including someone made a video where it was the final boss fight with Jack and Solidus, and like the American flag is like in the background and everything. So it's really cool that they managed to like restore some of those assets that were like completely cut from the game originally. But I'm going on a tangent again, but the reason I'm bringing that up is because this dude sounds like Solidus. Solidus's speeches and stuff, like, it sounds like a Metal Gear villain, and that's really telling because Metal Gear's always been, like, the politicians, like, the American politicians are, like, the big bad guys all along, you know? They've always been the bad guys, and yeah, that's kind of right. It's kind of right, Mr. Kojima. You ain't wrong there. Have we no mission to perform, no duty to discharge to our fellow man? Has the Almighty Father endowed us with gifts beyond our deserts and marked us as the people of His peculiar favor, merely to rot in our own selfishness? As men and nations must, who take cowardice in their companion and self for their deity, as China has, as India has, as Egypt has. Shall we be as the man who had 1 talent and hid it, or as he who had 10 talents and use them until they grow to riches? And shall we reap the reward that waits on our discharge of our high duty as the sovereign power of earth? Shall we occupy new markets for what our farmers raise? New markets for what our factories make? New markets for what our merchants sell? Aye, and, please God, new markets for what our ships shall carry? Shall our commerce be encouraged until with ocean? Oh my god. I really can't read right now. Just give me a second. Shall our commerce be encouraged until with Oceanica, the Orient, and the world, American trade shall be the imperial trade of the entire globe? We shall deal from this day on with nations greedy of every market we are to invade. Nations with statesmen trained in craft, nations with ships and guns and money and men. The world still rubs its eyes from its awakening to the restlessness. Resistless. I'm sorry. Power and sure destiny to this republic. My god. Maybe I should have eaten something before the stream or something. I probably would have been reading a little better. But I'm always terrible at reading out loud. I do like really apologize. I swear I read like better in my mind and everything, but that's neither here nor there. This is his beverages refers to the Spanish-American War as the most holy war waged by one nation against another, a war for civilization, a war for a permanent peace, a war which, under God, although we knew it not, swung open in the Republic the portals of the commence of the world. Jesus Christ. His view of the history of U.S. conquest. God bless the soldiers of 1898, children of the heroes of 1861, descendants of the heroes of 1776. In the halls of history, they will stand side by side with those elder sons of glory, and the opposition of the government at Washington shall not deny them. No, they shall not be robbed of the honor due them, nor shall the Republic be robbed of what they won for their country. For William McKinley is continuing the policy of that Jefferson began. Monroe continued, Seward advanced, Grant promoted, Harrison championed, and the growth of the Republic has demanded. And here's his views of our conquering other countries. Hawaii is ours. Puerto Rico is to be ours. At the prayer of the people, Cuba will finally be ours. Jesus Christ. In the islands of the East, even to the gates of Asia, coaling stations are to be ours. At the very least, the flag of a liberal government is to float over the Philippines. And I pray God it may be the banner that Taylor unfurled in Texas and Fremont carried to the coast, the stars and stripes of glory. concerning the objection that subjugating the other countries conflicts with the right of a people to self-determination. He says, the opposition tells us that we ought not to govern a people without their consent. I answer, the rule of liberty, that all just government derives its authority from the consent of the governed, applies only to those who are capable of self-government. I answer, we govern the Indians without their consent. We govern our territories without their consent. We govern our children without their consent. Jesus Christ, bro. What's up, Domino? Hi. Beveridge believes that people would welcome our domination. Would not the people of the Philippines prefer the just, humane, civilizing government of this republic to the savage, bloody rule of pillage and extortion from which we have rescued them? Now, I'm going to break away from the book again, just to like kind of comment on some of the things that like our nation does, or like the people in power rather do. And it's blaringly obvious to see with back then in like the late 1800s, early 1900s, with our invasion of like other countries even back then, and our desire to what politicians say, help the individuals living there, well, rather we are like indoctrinating them and using them. We're really using these nations. They prey on those who without intelligence. They are intelligent themselves and will use tactics like these that we've read to manipulate audiences, right? The uneducated. There's a lot of like systems that are being put into play to keep individuals uneducated. The overabundance of AI right now, I see as a tactic to keep individuals ill-informed, uneducated. There has been in the Pentagon recently a complete dismantle of history. And it was done in a matter of seconds because of the utilization of AI. And these people like put in keywords, LGBT struggles, transness, women's suffrage, and completely wiped them from the databases, from the Pentagon's databases. This is information being completely eliminated by our own government. Our government is suppressing information. We have a lot of information available to us through the internet, but because of centralization and the diminishing of actual information and history, the government is trying to do the exact same thing again, keeping us ill-informed, keeping us away from actual education sources and information. The U.S. distancing itself from the World Health Organization was a big damaging cause of why COVID lasted so long as it did. At least is one of the many cases. Like COVID was a bad time all around, really, but that administration did not help it either. All right. And that was the first term. Now when we're in the second term, things are a whole lot worse. And back then in the 1800s, late 1800s, where this speech was being implemented, people didn't have the same information that we do nowadays. They were even more in the dark about what the government was capable of, what other information sources were out there. We can now like read. I have poetry written in the early feudal days of China and Japan. And like now we are able to consume these kind of things readily available on all our devices. Our devices are being tracked. our devices are being limited, and our education is being centralized. Anyways. He views other countries as motivated by power and greed. He sees us as guided by their interests of the people we conquer. These are his words again. Shall we turn these people back to the reeking hands of which we have taken them? Shall we abandon them to their fate with the wolves of the conquest all about them, with Germany, Russia, France, even Japan hungering for them? Shall we turn these people back to the reeking hands from which we have taken them? Shall we abandon them up to their fate with the wolves of conquest all about them? I almost don't want to read this guy's speech anymore. It is completely hypocritical. It is... This was a good example that the books use. An incredible example of how politicians use these fallacies to manipulate their audience. He is saying nothing. He is saying absolutely nothing in this little paragraph. That it's freaking nothing. It's gibberish. There's no answer to the issues that are being proposed in this. He's just rallying up brainwashed individuals, incredibly brainwashed individuals. I can say that, right? People who who are dogmatic in their beliefs. I guess they're not necessarily brainwashed, but people who are in power, where people follow these powers in a dogmatic view. I can't remember what I was saying. Oh, that's what I was saying. So people who follow this view, who are completely dogmatic of them, the people who are in power are really good at manipulating those individuals who are really dogmatic in their beliefs, in religion and patriotism, etc., and all these various isms that we have in life. Catholicism, that's religion again. Patriotism, as I mentioned before. Beliefs in philosophy, philosophical beliefs as well. There's isms in that as well. People who are blindly dogmatic to view these things as unbreakable. These beliefs are unbreakable to them. They are so easily manipulated by the people that they believe in. And that is not just. That is not just at all, in my opinion. I've always been of the belief of finding your own truths, seeking out your own information, being the bearer of your own philosophy. Because when we are so blindly following these predisposed positions, we are so easily controlled. We are easily manipulated by these individuals. And that's why, knowing these tactics that these individuals use is one of the most informed things that you can do with yourself, which is why I wanted to share with you. I'm explaining why I'm doing this again. It should be obvious, honestly. If you've read up to this point, it should be glaringly obvious. I'm only on page 40 out of 50. This is the shortest freaking thing. But if you read this, like, it's... I wouldn't say it's simple. It's not simple. There are people, like, who aren't like me, who don't have a high capacity of knowledge, who will blindly follow a dogmatic belief because it's the easy thing to do. It is hard for some people to do research and everything, to, like, gain knowledge into particular topics. They vote what, blue or red? Blue or red? Do I like what blue is saying, or do I like what red is saying? Oh, red is saying something really good. Red's got my vote. Red is just like me. Red's got my vote. Red's saying what all of us are thinking. Red's got my vote. It's despicable. It's not despicable. It's a sad truth, I guess. And it's not so black and white as I am generalizing. Not everyone is going, like, all red or blue, red or blue. There are people on the alt-right who will always go for the alt-right perspective. There are individuals on the far left who will always vote blue no matter who, you know? I'm not a centralist. I don't believe in the political spectrum, honestly. The left, the right, we're all freaking human, and this bar, this voting thing has always been like a major culture war within politics, just so politicians can get their W, their win. They want to win, and they will say whatever it takes to their audience to get them the big W. In my view, this last election, this was the first time I ever voted. I believe that this last election was vote for the lesser of two evils. I didn't necessarily like Kamala Harris's campaign at all. But it was far better than what we ended up getting, you know? A lot less would have happened. A lot less bad would have happened in the world. Or who knows, she could have gotten assassinated. Who the heck knows? Anyways. Going back to the actual book, not about my political opinions. Concerning the objection that countries have a right to rule themselves, Beveridge says, that's his name, Beveridge? Yeah, Beveridge. That is not his name, right? Beveridge! His little name is Beveridge. Okay, I'm not misreading it. His name is Beveridge. So Beveridge says, to give them self-rule would be like giving a razor to a babe and telling it to shave itself. Oh, sorry, he's talking about the Philippines, right? He's talking about the people of the Philippines? It would be like giving a typewriter to an Eskimo and telling him to publish one of the great dailies of the world. Jesus Christ. Will you affirm by your vote that you are an infidel to American vigor and power and practical sense? Or that we are of the ruling race of the world? Ooh, my God, bro. That ours is the blood of government. Ours is the heart of dominion. Sorry, I almost said domination because that's kind of how he's talking. Our the brains and genius of admiration. Okay. Oh my God, I don't want to read all of this guy's talking. This is the last part, right? No, there's more speeches. There's more fallacious speeches. The whole rest of this book is full of them. Christ. Alright, I guess that's what the rest of this book is going to be, so let's continue. Also, my hair is tangled in my necklace, and it's been driving me nuts. Distance is no objection to our conquering foreign lands. In keeping with our destiny, our technological development is conspiring with us. Steam joins us, electricity joins us. The very elements of are in league with our destiny. Cuba not contiguous? Is that what he's trying to say? Cuba not contiguous? Hawaii and the Philippines not contiguous. Our Navy will not make them contiguous. Dewey and Sampson and Schley have made them contiguous. And American speed, American guns, American heart and brain nerve will keep them contiguous forever. Jesus Christ. Think of the thousands of Americans who will pour into Hawaii and Puerto Rico when the Republic's laws cover those islands with justice and safety. Think of the tens of thousands of Americans who will invade mine and field and forest in the Philippines when a liberal government protected and controlled by this republic, if not the government of the republic itself, shall establish order and equality there. Think of the hundreds of thousands of Americans who will build a soap and water common school civilization of energy and industry in Cuba when a government of law replaces the double reign of anarchy and tyranny. Think of the prosperous millions that impress the islands will support then, obedient to the law of political gravitation. Her people ask for the highest honor liberty can bestow, the sacred order of the stars and stripes, the citizenship of the great republic. Only I should have been taking notes. I don't know if anyone caught the end of The Boys. That last episode was fantastic. A lot of people I heard like complaining about this season. A lot of right wingers were obviously pissed to know that they're the butt of the joke throughout the series. They've always been. But I like it. I really enjoyed this show. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was really, really good. What does all this mean for every one of us? It means opportunity for all the glorious young manhood of the Republic. The most virile, ambitious, impatient, militant manhood the world has ever seen on Spike TV. It means that the resources and the commerce of these immensely rich dominions will be increased as much as American energy is greater than Spanish sloth. For Americans henceforth will monopolize those resources and that commerce. Just straight up say it. Just straight up say it out loud, okay? In Cuba alone, there are 15 million acres of forest unacquainted with the axe. There are exhaustless mines of iron. There are priceless deposits of manganese. There are millions of acres yet unexplored. The resources of Puerto Rico have only been trifled with. The riches of the Philippines have hardly been touched by the fingertips of modern methods. So this guy's just saying, like, they got resources over there and we want them. Nothing's changed. It means new employment and better wages. No, it doesn't. That's not what that means. It means new employment and better wages for every laboring man in the Union. It means higher prices for every bushel of wheat and corn, for every pound of butter and meat, for every item that the farmers of this republic produce. It means active, vigorous, constructive investment of every dollar of moldy and miserly capital in the land. Oh, hi, Chess. How's it going? Yeah, Jan's always here. It means all this tomorrow and all this forever. The commercial supremacy of the Republic means that this nation is to be the sovereign factor in the peace of the world. For the conflicts of the future are to be conflicts of trade, struggles for markets, commercial wars for existence. So, something that's kind of lost in translation as I'm reading someone's speech is that this speech was delivered by a person with like a booming voice, probably. I don't know who this beverage person is. I've never seen anything from him. I've never heard his voice before, but I'm imagining if this person is a politician and he is like expounding the things that he is expounding, he is obviously making himself up to look like someone who knows what he's talking about and that this is the right and true thing to do. Because, like, oh, he's a politician. Obviously, we're going to listen to him. Oh, he sounds like he's saying the right things. We should all blindly just follow what he's saying. Well, as we read it if you read the speech yourself, even back then probably, it's nonsensical, it's completely fallacious, you know? And these are the things that, like, really, like, the reason why I wasn't in politics for, like, the longest time. I just stayed out of it because, like, everyone does these kind of things. I don't believe in authority, to, like, govern individuals. I believe with, like, the proper intelligence, that people have and with the following of good moral being and recognizing and having empathy for your fellow man. I don't know where I was going with that. I'm sorry. I'm just kind of. If you couldn't tell, I'm really pissed about like the government right now. I think a lot of people are. Let's just keep reading this like really shitty speech. As our commerce spreads, the flag of liberty will circle the globe and the highways of the ocean, carrying trade to all mankind, be guarded by the guns of the Republic. And as their thunders salute the flag, benighted people will know that the voice of liberty is speaking at last for them. That civilization is dawning at last for them. Liberty and civilization, those children of Christ's gospel who follow the never precede the preparing march of commerce. I say this is, I mentioned that this is like a shitty speech. I don't mean that it's like shittily written. I feel like it's very well written if you are a skilled manipulator and you want people to follow you blindly. It's like, oh, he's saying a lot of big words. I don't know what they mean, but you know, he's on our side. This is our side, you know. God, this is God's side. This is, you know, we have the American Jesus on our side, so this is obviously God's will. This is obviously God's war. We're seeing this right now with what's going on in the country or in the world right now, honestly. What our country is doing to other people. The American people have the most tremendous task of history to perform. They have the mightiest commerce of the world to conduct. They cannot halt their imperial progress of wealth and power and glory and Christian civilization. It is a time to cheer the beloved president of God's chosen people. I'm sorry, he's saying president of God's chosen people. Okay. Till the whole world is vocal with American loyalty to the American government. Jesus Christ, bro! Oh my god. I can't even yell at him. He's dead. He's beyond dead. But, like, these ideologies like these are what poisoned the American government into continuing radical tyranny throughout the world, which is going on freaking right now and was really prevalent when this book was written with the Bush administration. Fellow Americans, we are God's chosen people. Yonder at Bunker Hill and Yorktown, his province was above us. We cannot fly from our world duties. It is ours to execute, to propose of a fate that has driven us to be greater than our small intentions. We cannot retreat from any soil where Providence has unfurled our banner. It is ours to save that soil for liberty and civilization. Our liberty and civilization, as God's promise fulfilled, the flag much henceforth be the symbol and the sign of all mankind. The flag. Flags, I've mentioned this last week. Flags are easy symbols that, like, are like put up by individuals for a shortcut to, I mean, a lot of people, this interpretation of the American flag in particular is utilizing it to justify harsh actions against other countries. I have a flag myself right here. But it's for, like, a personal ideology. It's for solidarity for other individuals who have the same experiences as I do, in particular. I'm not saying to go, like, utilize this flag to take over other countries by just placing it there and claiming it as your own, as Americans are wont to do. This is here for us to exist. We are in the midst of a battle of ideologies on the ground, in our nation, in the world. And we just want to exist. We're not trying to overtake any particular ideology or anything. We literally just want to live. And right now, that's my fight now, because someone had to make it a fight. Someone had to make it a fight. And I don't necessarily think that LGBT, transness, or any kind of queer ideology should be of political discourse. I don't believe any race, sexual orientation, or anything like that should be a topic of political discourse. Because we're just freaking human. We're all just human. These wars that are being held, they're wars of ideology that stem from country to country, and our American ideals, or the government's ideals, are that America is number one and nothing else compares to it. And they're not even hiding it anymore. They're literally blatantly saying it, just as this individual said it blatantly back in 1890 whatever. 1898. There's a huge reflection in this in particular politicians' assessments of America, the American ideology, that opposes anything else in the world. Shit, our flag on the moon? Some politicians are going to like utilize that, like, oh, this is God's moon. This is God's moon. God owns this moon. America owns this moon. They want to build like things on the moon right now, and they're going to use it for political discourse in the future. And it's stupid. It's the freaking moon. Everyone sees it every night. It's not. It shouldn't be owned, you know. Anyways, conflicts of nations aside, let's we're finally done with his freaking speech, but now we're going to move on to a different speech. Oh, from the Bushman himself. So fallacy detection, analyzing a current presidential speech. This was current back when this book was written. Now read the speech, "We Will Finish the Work of the Fallen" by President George Bush Jr. regarding the state of the war in Iraq on April 13th, 2004. Identified fallacies you think are being used in the speech. Following is President George Bush's opening statement at a news conference on April 14th, 2004, as recorded by the New York Times. The complete lead for the statement is, "We will finish the work of the fallen." Thank you. Good evening. Before I take your questions, let me speak with the American people about the situation in Iraq. This has been tough weeks in that country. Coalition forces have encountered serious violence in some areas of Iraq. Our military commanders report that this violence is being instigated by 3 groups. Some remnants of Saddam Hussein's regime, along with Islamic militants, have attacked coalition forces in the city of Fallujah. Terrorists from other countries have infiltrated Iraq to incite and organize attacks. In the south of Iraq, coalition forces face riots and attacks that are being incited by a radical cleric named al-Sadr. He has assembled some of his supporters into an illegal militia and publicly supported the terrorist groups Hamas and Hezbollah. Al-Sadr's methods of violence and intimidation are widely repudiated by other Iraqi Shia. I don't know if that's how you pronounce that word. He's been indicted by Iraqi authorities of the murder of the prominent Shia cleric. Although these instigations of violence come from different factions, they share common goals. They want to run us out of Iraq and destroy the democratic hopes of the Iraqi people. The violence we have seen is a power grab by these extreme and ruthless elements. It's not a civil war. It's not a popular uprising. Most of Iraq is relatively stable. Most Iraqis by far reject violence and oppose dictatorship. In forums where Iraqis have met to discuss their political future, and in all the proceedings of the Iraqi governing council, Iraqis have expressed clear commitments. They want strong protections for individual rights. They want their independence, and they want their freedom. America's commitment to freedom in Iraq is consistent with our ideals and required by our interests. Iraq will either be a peaceful, democratic country, or it will again be a source of violence, a haven for terror, and a threat to America and to the world. By helping to secure a free Iraq, Americans serving in that country are protecting their fellow citizens. Our nation is grateful to them all and to their families that face hardship and long separation. This weekend at a Fort Hood hospital, I presented a Purple Heart to some of our wounded. Had the honor of thanking them on behalf of all Americans. Other men and women who have paid an ever greater cost. Our nation's honors and memory of those who have been killed, and we pray that their families will find God's comfort in the midst of their grief. As I've said to those who have lost loved ones, we will finish the work of the fallen. America's armed forces are performing brilliantly, with all the skill and honor we expect of them. We're constantly reviewing their needs. Troop strength now and in the future is determined by the situation on the ground. If additional forces are needed, I will send them. If additional resources are needed, we will provide them. The people of our country are united behind our men and women in uniform. And this government will do all that is necessary to assure the success of their historic mission. One central commitment of that mission is the transfer of a sovereignty back to the Iraqi people. We have set a deadline of June 30th. I wonder if they met that deadline. It is important that we meet that deadline. As a proud and independent people, Iraqis do not support an indefinite occupation, and neither does America. We're not an imperial power, as nations such as Japan and Germany can attest. We're a liberating power, as nations in Germany and Asia can attest as well. So what, is Japan like separate from Asia? America's objective in Iraq is limited and it is firm. We seek an independent, free, and secure Iraq, where the coalition to step back from the June 30 pledge, many Iraqis would question our intentions and feel their hopes betrayed. And those in Iraq who trade in hatred and conspiracy theories would find a larger audience and gain a stronger hand. We will not step back from our pledge. On June 30, Iraqi sovereignty will be placed in Iraqi hands. Sovereignty involves, I've been saying like sovereignty or something. Sovereignty involves more than a date and a ceremony. It requires Iraqis to assume responsibility for their own future. Iraqi authorities are now confronting the security challenge of the last several weeks. In Fallujah, coalition forces have suspended offensive operations, allowing members of the Iraqi Governing Council and local leaders to work on the restoration of central authority in that city. These leaders are communicating with the insurgents to ensure an orderly turnover of the city to Iraqi forces so that the resumption of military action does not become necessary. I believe it became necessary, probably changed his mind. They're also insisting that those who killed and mutilated 4 American contract workers be handed over for trial and punishment. How long is this speech? It's kind of long. In addition, members of the governing council are seeking to resolve the situation in the South. Al-Sadir must answer the charges against him and disband his illegal militia. Should I even bother, reading all this? It's just freaking, bullcrap that we already know is bullcrap, right? I know the point is to, point out the inconsistencies and, utilize, the 44 foul ways to win an argument to point out his discrepancies in his speech. But since I'm not doing that exercise, I'm just reading a bunch of freaking dribble, right? More on terrorism. Turning foreign policy. All right. Yeah, I'm just gonna skip all the speech stuff and just go to the actual, information part of this, because this is why we're actually reading it. Maybe I'll read those on my own sometime or something. But I digress. It is 6 o'clock now. My alarm told me so. There's just 2 more pages. Let's just get through, the end. I'm skipping all the speeches for now. Not gonna go back to them. If you want to get this book for yourself, go find it. You know, these speeches are kind of publicly available, right? It's copyright free, right? That's why they just threw it in the book. Anyways. Avoid 2 extremes. Finding fallacies only in the thinking of others, none in yourself. And finding an equal number of fallacies in everything you read. Warning. Most students who study fallacies begin to find them plentiful in the arguments of those with whom they disagree. Realize that fallacies are being used with equal frequency by you as well as your friends. Test your integrity by diligently seeking fallacies in your own thinking. Remember, we have met the enemy and he is us. There are 2 dangers to avoid as you begin to identifying fallacies in daily life. The first consists in an unconscious bias towards identifying fallacies only in the thinking of others, those with whom you disagree, and none in yourself. In this case, you use fallacy labels as a way to attack anyone with whom you disagree, while you avoid a critical scrutiny of your own use of such fallacies. Your opponent uses an analogy, you immediately call it a false analogy. Your opponent makes a generalization, you immediately call it a hasty or underrepresented generalization. Your mind is set against him, and therefore you find fallacies in all his thinking. Your mind is so prejudiced in favor of your own thinking that, as a result, you find no fallacies in it. The second danger consists in coming to believe that everyone commits an equal number of fallacies, and therefore that there is no reason to concern yourself with fallacies. The situation is hopeless, you say to yourself. The fact is that fallacies are foul ways to try to win an argument or justify a belief unfairly. Their use is widespread, especially among those who make it their business to manipulate people. All of us sometimes commit them, but there is often a significant difference in quantity. Compare the problem of fallacy use to the problem of air pollution. All air carries some pollutants, but all air is not highly polluted. It is impossible to think in so careful a way that one never uses a fallacy. But it is possible to minimize that usage. To protect ourselves, we need to be able to recognize when people are trying to manipulate us with fallacious appeals. To maintain our integrity, we must try to avoid using fallacious appeals ourselves. We do this by learning to monitor our own thinking and the thinking of others, using the tools of critical thinking. We must recognize what is encompassed in our own point of view and the limitations of that point of view. We must enter sympathetically into the point of view of others. We must learn how to strip our thinking and the thinking of others down to essentials, essential concepts, essential facts, essential inferences, essential assumptions. We must be willing to scrutinize our thinking with the same care and concern we use in scrutinizing the thinking of our opponents and naysayers. Our thinking should be in a state of permanent evolution. Sorry, I was going to say evaluation for some reason. Systematically building on our strengths and removing our weaknesses. Hence, rooting out in the process as many fallacies as we have come to use. Finally, at the conclusion, guys. We did it, gamers! Alright, anyways. Conclusion. Fallacies in an ideal and in a real world. In a world of fair-minded critical thinkers, the list of those who reasoned best and the list of those with the most influence in the world would be one and the same. But we don't exist in an ideal world of intellectually disciplined, empathetic thinkers. We live in fundamentally uncritical societies, societies in which skilled manipulators, masters of intellectual tricks and stratagems, are the ones who tend to achieve position, status, and advantage. In the everyday world, there is a continual struggle for power and control. And in that struggle, truth and insight have little chance in competing with big money driving big media. Big money routinely utilizes the resources of media logic, polished rhetoric, and mass propaganda techniques to gain its ends. Most people, being intellectually unsophisticated, respond to and even unknowingly use fallacious thinking. As we hope you realize by now, most of what are traditionally called fallacies are in fact highly effective strategies for shaping the opinions and beliefs of others. Fallacies are best understood as counterfeits of good reasoning, devices often successful in manipulating the intellectual sheep of the world. Of course, it is important to realize that those who manipulate others typically deceive themselves in the process. Otherwise, they wouldn't be able to live with themselves. People want to view themselves as decent and fair-minded, not as manipulators and of unsophisticated others. The result is that when people use bad reasoning to manipulate others, they must at the same time deceive themselves into believing that their thinking is perfectly justified. I feel like I've read this, didn't I? Maybe this was at the beginning of the book, and they're kind of reiterating it. In an ideal world, children would be taught to recognize fallacies at an early age. They would learn how common fallacies are in everyday discourse. They would practice identifying fallacies in every dimension of their lives. They would come to understand the frailties and weaknesses of the human mind. They would learn to recognize their own frailties and weaknesses, their own egocentrism and sociocentrism. They would become familiar with the differences between uncritical thinking, sophistic thinking, and fair-minded thinking. And they would become adept at identifying and distinguishing their uncritical, sophistic, and fair-minded thinking. They would continually catch themselves about to slipping, or have slipped into egocentric or sociocentric thought. They would have no trouble admitting mistakes. They would be eminently movable by sound reasoning. But we do not live in an ideal world. Fallacies are foul ways to win arguments, yet they are winning arguments and manipulating people every day. The mass media are filled with them. They are the bread and butter of mass political discourse, public relations, and advertising. We all at times fall prey to them, and many live and breathe them as if they were the vehicles of sacred truth. Your goal should be to recognize fallacies for what they are, the dirty tricks of those who want to gain an advantage. They are stratagems for gaining influence, advantage, and power. You will withstand their impact more effectively when you know these fallacies inside and out. When you come to see how counterfeits of good reasoning pervade everyday life and are the lifeblood of the mass media, you are better able to resist their influence. When you are inoculated against fallacies, your response to them is transformed. You ask key questions. You probe behind the mask, the fronts, the fostered images, the impressive pomp and ceremony. You take charge of your own mind and emotions. You become increasingly your own person. And perhaps most important, as you pursue your own goals, you diligently work to avoid using fallacies yourself. And that is the end of the book. I really like this book. Calling it a guide, I mentioned this last time I was streaming, reading this. Calling it a guide is a little bit of... it shouldn't be called a guide, I don't think. But maybe that's a matter of opinion. It is very well informative. I've myself have learned a lot from it. It kind of echoed a lot of what I have expressed myself. It put into words some of my frustrations with other individuals. And I think it's something that should be like available, like public knowledge to the majority of individuals, at least people who want to make a good difference in the world. There are some manipulators who would just use these fallacies to get their way. No, it should be knowledge to everyone, so when people use those fallacies, they can manipulate them. And so hopefully those who actually stuck around and listen to this whole thing, or those who are wanting to get this book out there themselves, have grown intellectually because of this book. Either way, I'm actually going to be giving this book away. I haven't really expressed... Why am I still wearing these freaking glasses? I look like a freaking nerd. I haven't really expressed this because I kind of want to just keep it on a down low because she is a minor, but my fiance does have a child. She is 16 now. She is going into college in a few years. She wants to study law, of all things. She wants to become a lawyer. Probably inspired because of Phoenix Wright. Hopefully she knows the difference between Phoenix Wright and what it actually means to be a real attorney. But I'm going to give her this book because I feel like that will actually enlighten her on a lot of things. She really needs to focus on public speaking, I feel. Uh, Presenting herself, like, actually expressing vocally, um, what the law is going to say in her favor, you know? So maybe, who knows, maybe, she wants to be a defense attorney, so, like, that is, like, a good thing, to, like, defend, give voice to the voiceless. I feel like that's a really, powerful thing that she wants to get into, and, calling out fallacious arguments in the court of law will do, like, real justice, I feel. I hope that this book gives her all the knowledge that, the book wants to impart. So I'm going to be passing that book along to her. I don't like keeping a lot of my books. Usually, this was the second time I ever read the book. Usually, I read a book once and then I'm done with it. If I really love the book, I keep it. I have kept, like, quite a handful of books, more than a handful, actually. If I'm looking at it down there, like, this many books, this many books. I don't know how. I have many books down there, many books, not many. I feel like, you know, it's not like a huge, like, yeah, I have more video games than books, right? That's because, like, you know, when I read a book and I'm done with it, I usually, like, pass it along to someone else, or, like, I I told you guys, I went to, or I didn't tell you guys, right? But you know, I expressed on my Discord, that I went to a local little book thing where it's like take a book, leave a book, and you know, I traded a book there. I've donated some of my books to not the Salvation Army. I can't remember what the other thing is called. Um, but I've donated, like, some of my books too. Like, I don't keep books. I don't, like, hoard knowledge. And I don't think anyone should. There's people with, like, their own big private collections of, like, rare books, and they don't even open it and read it themselves. They're just like, "This is a rare book. I'm gonna keep it for myself. Ha ha!" No. Pass on knowledge, please. Have you read it? Good. Let someone else read it, right? And hopefully, like, you know, I know that these streams don't get, like, a lot of viewership or anything. I don't care about numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I don't, like, chase the number games because I'm not trying to be a streamer or anything. I'm not trying to be big or anything. But I hope the people who have, like, actually, like, taken the time to, like, listen or read this book themselves, you know, they hope they got something out of it. I hope, you, Jan, Chess over here, I hope you guys got something out of it. I don't know. But I'm going to take a break real quick so I can feed my dogs. When we come back, I am going to be reading 4.48 Psychosis by Sarah Kane. It's going to be a real one. It's going to be a tough read. I might cry. This is going to be a fictional story, and I'm going to talk about it more when I come back. So I will be RB. All right. I am back, and I'm back with kind of a serious, really serious, actually, not even kind of. Hang on, let me, put away my glasses for a second and close the blinds. Yeah, I should have done that before I called it back. Just wanted to, set the mood a little bit for, this next thing that we're reading. It's not a book, it's a play. This was written by Sarah Kane. She was a phenomenal writer in the theater space, and she unfortunately, like, had a lot of serious mental health issues, and she eventually took her own life. She wrote 4.48 Psychosis as almost almost a note, a certain kind of note. Well, we'll just say it what it is. This is a play about suicide, and it's really, really heavy. I don't recommend, if you are triggered by this topic, I don't recommend, like, seeking this story out. I recommend, like, finding, like, actual help. So, as you know, if you want to stick around, that's fine, but, like, as a precaution, I'm going to be, like, pinning, um, unpin at the stream, thank you. There's the 988 lifeline .org. That is a service where you can, and I'll try to leave it down in the description as well for the VOD. But if you have any kind of, like, I don't even know. If you or someone that you know have ever thought about taking your own life, there are resources that can help you. So please, like, follow that link, reach out to someone you trust, seek therapy. Anyways, this is going to be like a really triggering um play, and I'll do my best to be as honest and empathetic as, like, you can be with this. I myself have thought about extreme measures of self-harm in the past. I am well over those now. I'm in a much happier place in my life. The end is never the end. Okay? With that being said, this is 4.48 Psychosis by Sarah Kane. 4.48 Psychosis was first performed at the Royal Court Sherwood Theatre upstairs, London, on the 23rd of June 2000. The cast was as follows: Daniel Evans, Joe McKeons, and Madeline Potter. It was directed by James MacDonald, designed by Jeremy Herbert. Lighting was by Nigel J. Edwards, and sound by Paul Arditi. Starts with a very long silence. But you have friends. A long silence. You have a lot of friends. What do you offer your friends that makes them so supportive? A long silence. What do you offer your friends that make them so supportive? A long silence. What do you offer? Silence. A consolidated consciousness resides in a darkened banqueting hall near the ceiling of a mine whose floor shifts as 10,000 cockroaches when a shaft of light enters, as all thoughts unite in instead of a cord body no longer expellent, as the cockroaches comprise a truth which no one ever utters. I had a night in which everything was revealed to me. How can I speak again? The broken hermaphrodite who trusted himself alone finds the room in reality teeming and begs never to wake from the nightmare. And they were all there. every last one of them, and they knew my name. As I scuttled like a beetle along the backs of their chairs. Remember the light and believe the light. An instant of clarity before eternal night. Don't let me forget. I am sad. I feel that the future is hopeless and that things cannot improve. I am bored and dissatisfied with everything. I am a complete failure of a person. I am guilty. I am being punished. I would like to kill myself. I used to be able to cry, but now I am beyond tears. I have lost interest in other people. I can't make decisions. I can't eat. I can't sleep. I can't think. I cannot overcome my loneliness, my fear, my disgust. I am fat. I cannot write. I cannot love. My brother is dying. My lover is dying, and I'm killing them both. I am charging towards my death. I am terrified of medication. I cannot make love. I cannot fuck. I cannot be alone. I cannot be with others. My hips are too big. I dislike my genitals. At 4:48, when depression visits, I shall hang myself to the sound of my lover's breathing. I do not want to die. I have become so depressed by the fact that my morality that I have decided to commit suicide. I do not want to live. I am jealous of my sleeping lover and cover his induced unconsciousness. When he wakes, he will envy my sleepless night and thought and speech unslurred by medication. I've resigned myself to death this year. Some will call this self-indulgence. They are lucky not to know the truth. Some will know the simple fact of pain. This is becoming my normality. 100, 91, 84, 81, 72, 69, 58, 44, 42, 38, 37, 28, 21, 12, 7. It wasn't for long. I wasn't there long. But drinking bitter black coffee, I catch that medicinal smell in a cloud of ancient tobacco, and something touches me that in that still place, in a wound formed 2 years ago, opens like a cadaver, and a long buried shame roars in its foul, decaying grief. A room of expressionless faces string blankly at my pain, so devoid of meaning there must be evil intent. Doctor this and Doctor that and Doctor what's it, who's just passing and thought he'd pop in to take a piss as well. Burning in a hot tunnel of dismay, my humiliation complete as I shake without reason and stumble over words and have nothing to say about my illness, which anyway amounts only to knowing that there's no point in anything because I'm going to die. And I am deadlocked by that smooth psychiatric voice of reason, which tells me there is an objective reality in which my body and mind are one. But I am not here and never have been. Doctor this writes it down, and Doctor that attempts a sympathetic murmur, watching me, judging me, smelling the crippling failure oozing from my skin, my desperation clawing and all-consuming panic drenching me as I gape in horror at the world and wonder why everyone is smiling and looking at me with secret knowledge of my aching shame. Shame, shame, shame. Drown in your fucking shame. Instructable doctors. Sensible doctors. Way out doctors. Doctors you'd think were fucking patients if you weren't shown proof otherwise. Ask the same questions. Put words in my mouth. Offer chemical cures for congenital anguish. And cover each other's arses until I want to scream for you. The only doctor who ever touched me voluntarily. Who looked me in the eye. Who laughed at my gallows humor spoken in the voice from the newly dug grave. Who took the piss when I shaved my head. Who lied and said it was nice to see me. Who lied and said it was nice to see me. Trusted you. I loved you. And it's not losing you that hurts me, but your bare-faced fucking falsehoods that masquerade as medical notes. Your truth, your lies, not mine. And while I was believing that you were different and that you maybe even felt the distress that sometimes flickered across your face and threatened to erupt, you were covering your ass too. Like every other stupid mortal cunt. To my mind, that's betrayal. And my mind is the subject of these bewildered fragments. Nothing can extinguish my anger, and nothing can restore my faith. This is not a world in which I wish to live. Have you made any plans? Take an overdose, slash my wrist, and then hang myself. All those things together? Couldn't possibly be misconstrued as a cry for help. Silence. It wouldn't work. Of course it would. It wouldn't work. You'd start to feel sleepy from the overdose and then wouldn't have the energy to cut your wrists. Silence. I'd be standing on a chair with a noose around my neck. Silence. If you were alone, do you think you might harm yourself? I'm scared I might. Would that be protective? Yes. It's fear that keeps me away from the train tracks. I just hope that God and death is the fucking end. I feel like I'm 80 years old. I'm tired of life and my mind wants to die. That's a metaphor, not reality. It's a simile. That's not reality. It's not a metaphor, it's a simile. But even if it were, the defining feature of a metaphor is that it's real. A long silence. You are not 80 years old. Silence. Are you? Silence. Are you? Silence. Or are you? A long silence. Do you despise all unhappy people, or is it me specifically? I don't despise you. It's not your fault. You're ill. I don't think so. No? No. I'm depressed. Depression is anger. It's what you did. Who was there and who you're blaming? And who are you blaming? Myself. Body and soul can never be married. I need to become who I already am and will bellow forever at this incongruity which has committed me to hell. Insoluble hoping cannot uphold me. I will drown in dysphoria, in the cold black pond of myself, the pit of my immarital mind. How can I return to form now my formal thought has gone? Not a life that I could not a life that I could countenance. They will never love me for that which destroys me. The sword in my dreams, the dust of my thoughts, the sickness that breeds in the fold of my mind. Every compliment takes a piece of my soul. An expressionist nag, stalling between two fools. They know nothing. I have always walked free. Last in a long line of literary kleptomaniacs. A time-honored tradition. Theft is the holy act on a twisted path to expression. A glut of exclamation marks spells impending nervous breakdown. Just a word on a page, and there is the drama. I write for the dead, the unborn. After 4:48, I shall not speak again. I have reached the end of this dreary and repugnant tale of a sense interned in an alien carcass and lumpen by the malignant spirit of the moral majority. I have been dead for a long time. Back to my roots. Sing without hope on the boundary. RSVP, ASAP. Sometimes I turn around and catch the smell of you, and I cannot go on. I cannot fucking go on without expressing this terrible, so fucking awful, physical, aching, fucking longing I have for you. And I cannot believe that I can feel this for you, and you feel nothing. Do you feel nothing? Silence. And I go out at 6 a.m. and start my search for you. And I've dreamt a message of a street or a pub or a station. I go there and I wait for you. Silence. You know, I really feel like I'm being manipulated. Silence. I've never in my life had a problem giving another person what they want, but no one's ever been able to do that for me. No one touches me. No one gets near me. But now you've touched me somewhere so fucking deep. I can't believe and I can't be that for you. Because I can't find you. Silent. What does she look like? And how will I know her when I see her? She'll die. She'll die. She'll only fucking die. Silence. Do you think it's possible for a person to be born in the wrong body? Silence. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you for rejecting me and never being there. Fuck you for making me feel shit about myself. Fuck you for bleeding and fucking love and the life out of me. Fuck my father for fucking up my life for good, and fuck my mother for not leading him. But most of all, fuck you, God, for making me love a person who does not exist. Fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Oh dear, what's happened to your arm? I cut it. It's a very immature, attention-seeking thing to do. Did it give you relief? No. Did it relieve the tension? No. Did it give you relief? Silent. Did it give you relief? No. I don't understand why you did that. Then ask. Did it relieve the tension? A long silence. Can I look? No. I'd like to look and see if it's infected. No. Silence. I thought you might do this. Lots of people do. It relieves the tension. Have you ever done it? No. Far too fucking sane and sensible. I don't know where you read that, but it does not relieve the tension. Silent. Why don't you ask me why? Why did I cut my arm? Would you like to tell me? Yes. Then tell me. Ask me why. A long silence. Why did you cut your arm? Because it feels fucking great. Because it feels fucking amazing. Can I look? You can look, but don't touch. He looks at it. And you don't think you're ill? No. I do. It's not your fault. We have to take responsibility for our own actions. Please don't do it again. I dread the loss of her I've never touched. Love keeps me a slave in a cage of tears. I gnaw my tongue with which to hear I can never speak. I miss a woman who was never born. I kiss a woman across the years that say we shall never meet. Everything passes. Everything perishes. Everything palls. My thought walks away with a killing smile, leaving discordant anxiety, which roars in my soul. No hope. 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 A song for my loved one, touching her absence, the flux of her heart, the splash of her smile. In 10 years' time, she'll still be dead. When I'm living with it, dealing with it, when a few days pass when I don't even think of it, she'll still be dead. When I'm an old lady living in the street, forgetting my name, she'll still be dead. She'll still be dead. She'll still be dead. It's just fucking over. And I must stand alone. My love, why have you forsaken me? She is the couching place where I never shall lie. And there's no meaning to life in the light of my loss. Built to be lonely, to love the absent. Find me, free me from this corrosive doubt, futile despair, horror and repose. I can fill my space, fill my time, but nothing can fill this void in my heart. The vital need for which I would die. Break down. No ifs or buts. I didn't say if or but, I said no. Can't, must, never, have to. Can't, must, never, have. To, always, won't, should, shan't. The unnegotiables. Not today. Silence. Please, don't switch off my mind by attempting to straighten me out. Listen and understand, and when you feel contempt, don't express it. At least not verbally. At least not to me. Silence. I don't feel contempt. No? No. It's not your fault. It's not your fault. That's all I ever hear. It's not your fault. It's an illness. It's not your fault. I know it's not my fault. You've told me that so often I'm beginning to think it is my fault. It's not your fault. I know, but you allow it. Silence. Don't you? There's not a drug on earth that can make life meaningful. You allow this state of desperate absurdity. Silence. You allow it. Silence. I won't be able to think. I won't be able to work. Nothing will interfere with your work like suicide. Silence. I dreamt I went to the doctor's and she gave me 8 minutes to live. I've been sitting in the fucking waiting room half an hour. A long silence. Okay, let's do it. Let's do the drugs. Let's do the chemical lobotomy. Let's shut down the higher functions of my brain and perhaps I'll be a little more fucking capable of living. Let's do it. Abstraction to the point of unpleasant, unacceptable, uninspiring, impenetrable, irrelevant, irreverent, irreligious, unrepentant. I don't imagine clearly that a single soul could, would, should, or will. And if they did, I don't think clearly that another soul, a soul like mine, could, would, should, or will. Irrespective. I know what I'm doing all too well. No native speaker. Irrational. Irreducible. Irredeemable. Unrecognizable. Derailed, deranged, deformed, freeform. Obscure to the point of true, right, correct, anyone or anybody, each, every, all, drowning in a sea of logic. This monstrous state of palsy, still ill. Symptoms: not eating, not sleeping, not speaking, no sex drive, in despair, wants to die. Diagnosis: pathological grief. Sertraline, 50 milligrams, insomnia worsened, severe anxiety, anorexia, weight loss 17 kilograms, increase in suicidal thoughts, plans, and intention discontinued following hospitalization. Sulpicelone, 7.5 milligrams, slept, discontinued following rash. Patient attempted to leave hospital against medical advice. Restrained by 3 male nurses twice her size. Patient threatening and uncooperative. Paranoid thoughts. Believes hospital staff is attempting to poison her. Meloril, 50 milligrams. Cooperative. Lofipramine, 70 milligrams. Increased to 140 milligrams, then 210 milligrams. Weight gain, 12 kilograms. Short-term memory loss, no other reaction. Argument with junior doctor whom she accused of treachery, after which she shaved her head and cut her arms with a razor blade. Patient discharged into the care of the community on arrival of acutely psychotic patient in emergency clinic in greater need of a hospital bed. Citalopram, 20 milligrams. Morning tremors, no other reaction. Lofipramine and citalopram, oh my god, like Medication names are ridiculous. I'm sorry. Discontinued after patient got pissed off with side effect and lack of obvious improvement. Discontinuation symptoms. Dizziness and confusion. Patient kept falling over, fainting and walking out in front of cars. Delusional ideas, believes consultant is the Antichrist. Fluoxetine hydrochloride. Trade name Prozac, 20 milligrams. Increased to 40 milligrams. Insomnia, erratic appetite, weight loss 14 kilograms, severe anxiety, unable to reach orgasm, homicidal thoughts towards several doctors and drug manufacturers. Discontinued. Mood, fucking angry. Affect, very angry. Thorazine, 100 milligrams. Slept, calmer. Venlafaxine, 75 milligrams, increased to 150 milligrams, then 225 milligrams. Dizziness, low blood pressure, headaches, no other reaction, discontinued. Patient declined Serozat. Hypochondria. Cites spasmodic blinking and severe memory loss as evidence of tardive dyskinesia and tardive dementia. Refused all further treatment. 100 aspirin and 1 bottle of Bulgarian Cabernet Sauvignon, 1986. Patient woke up in a pool of vomit and said, "Sleep with the dog. Sleep with a dog and rye is full of fleas." Severe stomach pain. No other reaction. Hatch opens. Stark light. The television talks, full of eyes, the spirits of sight. And now I am so afraid. I'm seeing things, I'm hearing things. I don't know who I am. Tongue out, thoughts stalled. The piecemeal crumple of my mind. Where do I start? Where do I stop? How do I start? Does it mean go on? How do I stop? 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 A tab of pain stabbing my lungs. A tab of death squeezing my heart. I'll die. Not yet. But it's here. Please. Money. Life. Every act is a symbol, the weight of which crushes me. A dotted line on the throat cut here. Don't let this kill me. This will kill me and crush me and send me to hell. I beg you to save me from this madness that eats me. It's sub-intentional death. I thought I should never speak again. But now I know there is something blacker than desire. Perhaps it will save me. Perhaps it will kill me. A dismal whistle that is the cry of heartbreak around the hellish bowl at the ceiling of my mind. A blanket of roaches. Cease this war. My legs are empty. Nothing to say. And there is the rhythm of madness. I gassed the Jews. I killed the Kurds. I bombed the Arabs. I fucked small children while they begged for mercy. The killing fields are mine. Everyone left the party because of me. I'll suck your fucking eyes out. Sent them to your mother in a box, and when I die, I'm going to be reincarnated as your child, only 50 times worse, and as mad as all fuck. I'm going to make your life a living fucking hell. I refuse, I refuse, I refuse. Look away from me. It's all right. Look away from me. It's all right. I'm here. Look away from me. Why am I stricken? I saw visions of God, and it shall come to pass. Rid yourselves, for ye shall be broken in pieces, and it shall come to pass. Behold the light of despair and glare of anguish, and ye shall be driven to darkness. If there is blasting, there shall be blasting. The names of offenders shall be shouted from the rooftops. Fear God and his wicked convocation. A skull on my skin, a seethe in my heart, a blanket of roaches on which we dance, this infernal state of siege. All this shall come to pass, all the words of my noisome breath. Remember the light and believe the light. Christ is dead, and the monks are in ecstasy. We are the abjects, who depose our leaders and burn incense unto Baal. Come now, let us reason together. Sanity is found in the mountain of the Lord's house on the horizon of the soul that eternally recedes. The head is sick, the heart's caul torn. Tread the ground on which wisdom walks. Embrace beautiful lies. Chronic insanity of the sane. The retching begins. At 4:48, when sanity visits, for 1 hour and 12 minutes, I am in my right mind. When it has passed, I shall be gone again. A fragmented puppet, a grotesque fool. Now I am here, I can see myself. But when I am charmed by vile delusions of happiness, the foul magic of this engine of sorcery, I cannot touch my essential self. Why do you believe me then and now? Remember the light and believe the light. Nothing matters more. Stop judging by appearances and make the right judgment. It's all right. It will get better. Your disbelief cures nothing. Look away from me. Hatch opens. Stark light. Table, 2 chairs, and no windows. Here I am, and there is my body, dancing on glass. In ancient time where there are no accidents, you have no choice. The choice comes after. Cut out my tongue, tear out my hair, cut off my limbs, but leave me my love. I would rather have lost my legs, pulled out my teeth, gouged out my eyes than lost my love. Flash, flicker, slash, burn, ring, press, dab, slash, flash, flicker, punch, burn, float, flicker, dab, flicker, punch, flicker, flash, burn, dab, press, ring, press, punch, flicker, float, burn, flash, flicker, burn. It will never pass. Dab, flicker, punch, slash, ring, slash, punch, slash, float, flicker, flash, punch, ring, press, flash, press, dab, flicker, ring, burn, flicker, dab, flash, dab, float, burn, press, burn, flicker, burn, flash. Nothing's forever. But nothing. slash, ring, punch, burn, flicker, dab, float, dab, flicker, burn, punch, burn, flash, dab, press, dab, ring, flicker, float, slash, burn, slash, punch, slash, press, slash, float, slash, flicker, burn, dab. Victim. Perpetrator. Bystander. Punch. Burn. Float. Flicker. Flash. Flicker. Burn. Slash. Ring. Press. Dab. Slash. Flash. Flicker. Dab. Flicker. Punch. Flicker. Flash. Burn. Dab. Press. Flicker. Ring. Press. Punch. Flash. Flicker. Burn. Flicker. Flash. The morning brings defeat. Ring. Slash. Punch. Slash. Float. Flicker. Flash. Punch. Ring. Dab. Flicker. Punch. Slash. Press. Flash. Press. Dab. Flicker. Ring. Burn. Flicker. Dab. Flash. Dab. Float. Burn. Press. Burn. Flash. Flicker. Slash. Beautiful pain that says I exist. Flicker. Punch. Slash. Dab. Ring. Press. Burn. Slash. Press. Slash. Punch. Flicker. Flash. Press. Burn. Slash. Dab. Flicker. Float. Flash. Flicker. Dab. Press. Burn. Slash. Press. Slash. Punch. Flash. Flicker. Burn. And a saner life tomorrow. 100. 93. 86. 79. 72. 65. 58. 51. 44. 37. 30. 23. 16. 9. 2. Sanity is found at the center of convulsion, where madness is scorched from the bisected soul. I know myself. I see myself. My life is caught in a web of reason spun by a doctor to argument the sane. At 4:48, I shall sleep. I come to you hoping to be healed. You are my doctor, my savior, my omnipotent judge, my priest, my God, my surgeon of my soul. And I am your proselyte to sanity. To achieve goals and ambitions. To overcome obstacles and attain a high standard. To increase self-regard by the successful exercise of talent. To overcome opposition. To have control and influence over others. To defend myself. To defend my psychological space. To vindicate the ego. To receive attention. To be seen and heard. To excite, amaze, fascinate, shock, intrigue, amuse, entertain, or entice others. To be free from social restrictions. To resist coercion and constriction. To be independent and act according to desire. To defy convention. To avoid pain. To avoid shame. To obliterate past humiliation by resumed action. To maintain self-respect. To repress fear. To overcome weakness. To belong. To be accepted. To draw close and enjoyably reciprocate with others. To converse in a friendly manner. To tell stories, exchange sentiments, ideas, secrets. To communicate, to converse. To laugh and make jokes. To win affection of desired other. To adhere and remain loyal to other. To enjoy sensuous experiences with catholicated other. To feed, help, protect, comfort, console, support, nurse, or heal. To be fed, helped, protected, comforted, consoled, supported, nursed, or healed. To form mutually enjoyable, enduring, cooperating, and reciprocating relationship with an equal. To be forgiven, to be loved, to be free. You've seen the worst of me. Yes, I know nothing of you. No, but I like you. I like you. Silent. You're my last hope. A long silence. You don't need a friend, you need a doctor. A long silence. You are so wrong. Very silent. Well, you have friends. Long silence. You have a lot of friends. What do you offer your friends to make them so supportive? A long silence. What do you offer your friends to make them so supportive? A long silence. What do you offer? Silence. We have a professional relationship. I think we have a good relationship, but it's professional. Silence. I feel your pain, but I cannot hold your life in my hands. Silence. You'll be alright. You're strong. I know you'll be okay because I like you, and you can't like someone who doesn't like themselves. The people I fear for are the ones I don't like because they hate themselves so much they won't let anyone else like them either. But I do like you. I'll miss you, and I know you'll be okay. Silent. Most of my clients want to kill me. When I walk out of here at the end of the day and I need to go home to my lover and relax, I need to be with my friends and relax. I need my friends to be really together. Silence. I fucking hate this job and I need my friends to be sane. Silence. I'm sorry. It's not my fault. I'm sorry, that was a mistake. It's not my fault. No, it's not your fault. I'm sorry. Silence. I was trying to explain. I know. I'm angry because I understand, not because I don't. Fattened up, shored up, shoved up. My body decompensates, my body flies apart. No way to reach out beyond the reaching out I've already done. You will always have a piece of me because you held my life in your hands. Those brutal hands. This will end me. I thought it was silent till it went silent. How have you inspired this pain? I've never understood what it is I'm not supposed to feel. Like a bird on a wing in a swollen sky. My mind is torn by lightning as it flies from the thunder behind. Hatch opens. Stark light and nothing. Nothing. Seen nothing. What am I like? The child of negation? Out of one torture chamber into another, a vile succession of errors without remission? Every step of the way I've fallen. Despair propels me to suicide. Anguish for which doctors can find no cure, nor care to understand. I hope you never understand, 'cause I like you. I like you. I like you. Still black water, as deep as forever, as cold as the sky. Still as my heart when your voice is gone. I shall freeze in hell. Of course I love you. You saved my life. I wish you hadn't. I wish you hadn't. I wish you left me alone. A black and white film of yes or no, 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 yes or no. I've always loved you, even when I hated you. What am I like? Just like my father. Oh no, no, no. Hatch opens. Stark light. The rapture begins. I don't know where to look anymore. Tired of crowd searching, telepathy, and hope. Watch the stars predict the past and change the world with silver eclipse. The only thing that's permanent is destruction. We're all going to disappear. Trying to leave a mark more permanent than myself. I've not killed myself before, so don't look for precedents. What came before was just the beginning. Cyclical fear. That's not the moon, it's the earth. A revolution. Dear God, what shall I do? All I know is snow and black despair. Nowhere left to turn. An, an ineffectual mortal spasm. The only alternative to murder. Please don't cut me up to find out how I died. I'll tell you how I died. 100 lofepramine, 45 zopiclone, 25 temazepam, and 20 Meloril. Everything I had. Swallowed, slit, hung, is done. Behold the eunuch of castrated thought. Skull unwound. The capture, the rapture, the rupture of a soul. A solo symphony. Warm darkness soaks my eyes. I know no sin. This is the sickness of becoming great. The vital need for which I would die. To be loved. I'm dying for one who doesn't care. I'm dying for one who doesn't know. You're breaking me. Speak. 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 10-yard ring of failure. Look away from me. My final stand. No one speak. Validate me. Witness me. See me. Love me. My final submission. My final defeat. The chicken's still dancing. Chicken won't stop. I think of me the way I'd have you think of me. Final period. The final full stop. Looked after your mom now. Look after her. Black snow falls. In death you hold me. Never free. I have no desire for death. No suicide ever had. Watch me vanish. Watch me vanish. Watch me. It is myself I have never met, whose face is pasted on the underside of my mind. Please open the curtain. So that was 44. So that was 4.48 Psychosis. By Sarah Kane. Unfortunately, she took her own life before it was ever put onto production. But I think that's how, or at least it's theorized, that's what she planned. She was a really prolific playwright of her time. And, as I mentioned before, like, this play was written as sort of like a suicide note almost. Yeah, it's a suicide note in a play form. I don't even think anyone's like watching this right now. I've never. I don't know. I don't care. In this moment, I'm with Sarah. I'm with everyone who's ever thought these thoughts. In a way, this play exists so that we can empathize with individuals who are going through a severe mental crisis. And she argues that she's not going through this mental crisis. I don't believe that. Anyone who's actually going through a mental crisis really believes that they are going through one. Sometimes this is just who they are. We have diagnoses, we have labels that we put onto certain things to make sense of it. But I don't even think that those labels and definitions always entirely specify everything that goes. It's a case by case thing. Anyways, thank you all for stopping by. Thank you, Jan and Chess, for stopping by in chat. Again, if anyone is actually like listening this far, I'm going to be able to, or I'm going to make sure that I put a link in the description to the 988 Lifeline. If you, for some reason, can't reach the description, it's just 988lifeline.org. Um, please just life's hard for everyone. It's harder for some other people, but please don't give up. Met several people throughout my life who have expressed desires to take their own life as well, and I never know how to. I don't know how to tell them to stop. 'Cause I know the fucking world's hard. And the more you know about the world, the harder it gets. We all want the easy way out, a question, an answer to this question as to why. Why are we here? Why do we exist? What am I doing? What's the point of anything? We all want a simple answer, and that answer, it's it doesn't really have a definite answer. We can all stoop to nihilism, or we can escape this absurd question of the what if or the why. Or I say fuck it and live. Just live. Doesn't matter why. There's no answer out there as to why or what or who, how, all these questions that will never have an answer. Sometimes it's going to seem like there's no one out there who loves you. There are people who care. There are people who care. I felt that way a lot growing up, that no one cared. I didn't know who the hell I was. But I just said fuck it, and I kept living. And yeah, I'm in a lot happier place than I am. Life is full of ups and downs, and the downs can be really down sometimes, especially for some people. And especially in some of their predicaments and circumstances. Sarah Kane says in this play that she's tried reaching out to people and she's ran out of options of people to reach out to. It was a brilliant mind that just snuffed itself out because the overwhelming dread of reality, the hopelessness. Humanity finds solidarity in itself, in others. You find it. You find humility, you find compassion. Not everyone is able to give that, though. It's hard to find solidarity and peace with other people, especially nowadays. It seems even harder. Everyone's in their own head. Everyone's worried about their own struggles. Everyone's online and generalizing what people are saying on there. And online, like, discussion online is absolutely meaningless. Comments. But people put so much meaning into other people's words when half the time it's just rage bait. Anyways, I could talk a lot about this, and I believe there's a lot of sources out there that probably did a better job of an afterword than I did, than I ever could. Who knows? Maybe not. I have no idea how popular this play is, but it's just something that I read recently that really touched me. I know it's probably just the empath in me, but if I was there, it feels like if I was there. And maybe a lot of us think that when we read something like this, we wish we were there and like maybe we could have said something or done something. Maybe we could have helped. Is it too little too late, or is it just? I'm not someone who believes in fate or predisposition of any sort. I don't believe that there's nothing you can do about certain things. No, that's why I'm currently fighting against an endless battle of hypocritical politics and policies. I'm not just fighting for myself, though. I think a lot of people who get into politics are for their own self. I'm in a really privileged place. I'm not cis, but I'm white. I'm the lightest complexion ever. I live in California. It's the most liberal state. So I can openly be trans. I can wear this out in public. I can look like this out in public and maybe some people care, but no one's gonna make a fuss about it, you know? There are places in this world where that's not the case. And it pisses me off. It makes me angry. It makes a lot of people angry, I'm sure. There's a lot of people out there who's angry. But I do my best not to show my anger. Try my best to be brave. Because fear leads to anger, and anger is what is easily manipulated. That's why we have to be critical thinkers about life. No, not everyone is going to be a critical thinker. I hope in my heart of hearts that more people become critical thinkers. This is where empathy is birthed, where justice is actually served, where people can be themselves without the fear of being prejudiced, without the fear of bigoted individuals destroying their lives. Just people being who they are, genuinely. The future that I always hope for. The future that I've hoped for since I was a kid. I just wanted people to grow up in a better life than I did. I grew up like really poor. My family was really poor. I'm still really poor. Obviously, it could be worse for my predicament. I'm not saying that I'm a victim of anything other than the state. We all want to be victims. Like that's the only thing that we're victims of is the state and the system. I hope you all find happiness. I hope you live your life to the fullest. To live, to exist. Find your own meaning in life. Life's meaningless, sure. Initially, right? We all find our own meanings in life, whether it's through our own life philosophies, whether it's, again, dogmatically following any sort of belief system that's already predisposed because you just don't want to. I get it. Anyways, humanity, I love you, and I'll see you in the next one. I probably won't be streaming until June. I am going to go through with Play As Love this year, raising money for charity. Hopefully people stop by for that. I do have some confirmed guests this year, so hopefully it's a little more entertaining and hopefully more people show up and, donate towards a good cause. Anyways, thank you for those of you who stopped by. I'll see you guys next time. And don't forget to read a freaking book. It'll change your perception. Hopefully for the better. Depends on the book you read, honestly. Bye.